Welcome to the Her Story Circle podcast, the podcast that brings you the extraordinary tales of everyday women who are changing the world. I'm your host, Gertrude Mache, and I'd like to acknowledge traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today. I also like to pay my respects to elders, past, present, and emerging. Every week, we dive into the lives, challenges, and triumphs of women from all four corners of the globe. We're here to inspire, enlighten, and connect, sharing stories that uplift and empower. So grab a cup of coffee, settle in, and join us as we explore the incredible journeys of women shaping our future. This is Her Story, where every woman's voice matters. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Her Story Circle. This is Gertrude Mache here in beautiful Melbourne, Australia. And today I am graced with the presence of two fascinating sisters. Welcome, welcome, welcome to our tribe. Please tell everybody your full names, where you're based, and share your story with us today. Something's happened to Naomi's video. I'm not sure what's going on there. Naomi, just refresh your video, refresh your screen. Technology has been really funny. She's dropped out completely. Yes.
Oh, no.
Okay, so you can start and I'll bring her on.
Okay.
I see her in the background, but her video is still not working. That is so strange. Yeah, we've been having a few tech issues today. So Naomi, maybe you might want to restart your computer, and Natalie, you can start by sharing your story for 5 minutes while she sorts out her technology.
Okay. Hi, I'm Natalie Kinnamon. I'm from New Jersey, but I actually just moved to Florida. I'm single, I'm not married, I don't have any children. But today I wanted to talk about our business, Kinnamon. We're a clothing brand, and basically we started because of my sister who has type 1 diabetes, and she always struggled with how to wear clothing with her insulin pump. And in school, she figured out, well, I can design something. I'm a fashion major. I can design clothing for this need. And then we actually were able to turn it into a real business. So once she had this idea, I wanted to jump on board as with my background in graphic design and advertising and kind of help turn this idea into a business. And so I am now the COO, the co-founder. So I just specialize in the branding, the web design, PR relations, and with my background in graphic design and brand strategy, we've been able to bring this idea to light. And really, we just wanted to serve this market because type 1 diabetes affects over 9 million people worldwide. And the clothing market does not cater to this, just adaptive clothing in general for people with disabilities. So we kind of wanted to be maybe one of the first brands that actually takes this into account and caters to diabetes. And our goal is hopefully to inspire others to do the same. There's so many disabilities out there that aren't being catered to. So we just want to sort of start the conversation. I know there's a few people with starting companies that are a little bit more adaptive, but they're not mainstream yet. So I think we just kind of want to push that to be in the mainstream market. So that's where we are. We're only 9 months old. And we're really just trying to gain a following and get people to know about us. And we're looking to grow as much as possible. And one day, hopefully, we can expand. And we'd love to expand into like children's wear, women's wear, like athletic wear, men's wear. But right now, we're just doing dresses, jumpsuits, and rompers. That's what's most challenging for women to wear with insulin pumps. There's nowhere to put it because it's connected at all times. So it looks like Naomi's back here.
Yes. Okay, so I'm Naomi. I'm based in New Jersey right now. Still living with my parents at home. So born and raised NJ girl. Don't have any children or not married right now. But this idea really was my brainchild while studying fashion design at the Savannah College of Art and Design. And so it was there that, because of my own needs with an insulin pump, that I realized I had the opportunity to create clothing for other women like me, since this was always a long time struggle since my diagnosis when I was 11. So it was there that I began to flush out the ideas of what clothing for women with type 1 diabetes could look like. And I even have a rack behind me here of some of our designs. So ever since August of 2024, Natalie and I really have brought this original school project to life and have been working diligently to get our products out there, like she said, market to women with type 1 diabetes. This is just our first collection, so we're really excited because so many children and older women have type 1 diabetes, and there's just so much for us to cover here.
Absolutely fantastic. Technology is quite an issue today. Well, ladies, it is wonderful to meet you and to see two people who saw a problem in the market, decided to turn that problem into a product, and now you're helping so many women who would never have had this option before. So tell me a little bit about your experience. When were you diagnosed? And what is the real impact for those of us who don't know what type 1 diabetes is? Just give us a breakdown of that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So type 1 diabetes is an autoimmune disorder, and at this time, all autoimmune disorders do not have cures. Often they are treatable. And you can think about the diseases like Crohn's or celiac. It's just, for whatever reason, we don't know, but a part of your body attacked itself. So in type 1 diabetes, your pancreas no longer creates insulin, and that person is required for the rest of their life to become insulin dependent, either on injections that they take every time they eat, or using a technological device such as an insulin pump, which is attached at all times. And I can show you what I've got hooked up here to me with tubing. So that's attached to me at all times. This is a really big issue because 9 million people worldwide live with type 1 diabetes. And this is only expected to grow astronomically by 2040. For example, 1.6 million people in the US currently live with type 1, 2.7 million people in Europe have type 1 diabetes, and that is the highest rate of T1D globally. And it's just crazy because this does actually really strongly affect children, though a lot of people are diagnosed even way later in life. It can happen at any time. And Natalie and I are just so passionate about this because the adaptive clothing market is growing, but there's, like I said, there's so many disabilities out there that people aren't catering to. So we're really hoping that while we're working on this, it inspires other people, as there are so many other illnesses out there that do require different specialized clothing. So Natalie and I have been working really hard on this one, niche disease, because it does not discriminate. Males, females, children, older folks, anyone can get type 1 diabetes. So it's a lot to cover.
So how do you balance function and fashion when designing pieces that are both beautiful and medically adaptive?
That's a great question, and something I really was working on.
Did we lose her?
Yeah, her internet is dropping out.
Uh-oh. I can also answer that.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So yeah, that was a big part of the design process, was considering where an insulin pump goes. It is usually attached around the belly area or on the legs. That's where the site is. So the pump has to be somewhere in that area. So usually when you design clothing, you can just kind of design what you want it to look like. But this, we had to start with, where was the insulin pump going to go? How would it be in the pocket, where would it sit? And we had to start with that and then design around that. So that was kind of a different design process than we were used to. And like you said, a lot of the clothing that is made for disabilities on the market is like not beautiful. It's just functional. And that's what we wanted to avoid. We wanted people to feel like they could wear something that was both, that you couldn't tell was made for a disability, but it actually has that hidden feature. So specifically with the dresses and jumpsuits and rompers they all feature 2 pockets with a little buttonhole, and that feeds the pump tubing through. And then many of the designs also have cutouts for injections for those who take injections. So we didn't just want to have ugly zipper like things that you could zip down and injections. We wanted to have strategically placed but looked beautiful and natural in the clothing cutouts. So that was definitely a big part of the design process, is how do we combine the function and the beautifulness of the product.
Let's see if Naomi is back. Still, she's struggling with her video. That's quite interesting.
Uh-oh.
Wow. So, Natalie, as Naomi's twin and co-founder, how did you approach creating a brand that empowers your sister and women like her?
Absolutely. Well, as kids, we used to say that she drew the short straw. That's just how we looked at it. But she took it in stride when she was diagnosed at the age of 11. And as twins, it is kind of an interesting situation because genetically we're very similar. So why did that happen to one of us? And there is still a chance actually that I could be diagnosed later. But we did have a support system with each other. I mean, I've grown up with her obviously since we were kids, and seeing how she's handled it she handles it so well. But I know it's such a difficult disease. It's something you have to be thinking about throughout your entire day and be catering to. And so when she came up with this idea in school, like, well, I'm tired of dealing with all the medical aspects, and that's something I have to live with. But now I have to deal with the clothing aspect as well. I'm always struggling to find, or I can't buy dresses I want to wear. And so I was like, I really wanted to hop on board when she came up with this idea, because I just saw the need for it. I saw how much she struggled over the years. And like, hey, Naomi. And I saw how much she was like, we would go shopping together and I could buy something, but she couldn't buy it because there was nowhere to put her insulin pump. And so when she finally, came up with this idea, I was like, that's great. I feel like we have to do this, because this is something I've seen you struggle with. And if you're struggling, others are struggling as well. So this is definitely a need.
Well, welcome back, Naomi. I'm glad you've jumped onto your phone. Today has been a very strange day with technology, so I'm glad you didn't give up there.
Thank you.
So, Naomi, what has been some of the biggest misconceptions that you've encountered about adaptive fashion?
Yeah, that's a great question. One, that it has to be really expensive, or can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes. Yeah. You're clear.
Or that it's not accessible, or that it's ugly. I feel like, which is kind of true, because for so long, when you think of adaptive clothing, you think of these gray smock things that are made for people with arthritis who just have struggle with closures or something. So they just give them something really ugly and basic. And that's where Natalie and I are trying to move away from that. It doesn't have to be like that. Things can be well designed, but have a hidden function. And that's what we're doing with our clothing, that these garments should stand alone as really beautiful pieces that anyone could wear, whether you have type 1 diabetes or not, but there's the hidden function.
I love that. So tell us about the design process. How do you test and prototype clothing for insulin pump users?
Yes. So luckily, as someone who has an insulin pump, it's really easy for me to test things. So I did spend a lot of time working with different fabrics, draping on my dress form, planning out silhouettes, and then putting the pump in the pocket and seeing if it would ruin it and weigh down and the fabric was too flimsy, or if it would work. So that was a lot of trial and error, but I knew I had to really start with kind of sturdier fabrics. But it's been interesting to see, if I'm wanting to use maybe a lighter or more delicate looking fabric, how can I make that work with an insulin pump phone, as all of our stuff, all of our designs do also accommodate your giant cell phone as well. So it's always a stronger part of the design consideration, because you don't want to design something for this need, and then still have people be like, well, it doesn't really fit right, or it doesn't sit right. You can't just say, oh, I've done it, but not do it well. And Natalie and I, our name is attached to this, and we are dedicated to doing it right and doing it well. There are products that I've seen and purchased that tried to accommodate a pump, and I had to alter it. It just wasn't done right. So, and that was not great fabric being chosen.
So you launched just 6 months ago. What has been the response from the diabetic community so far?
Yeah, we're lucky we've had a pretty good response. Like I said, like you said, we're new, we're trying to grow, but the comments have been so positive in terms of people saying, yeah, like the relatable comments that Naomi said, like I have to put my insulin pump in my bra, or I can't buy certain clothes because there's nowhere to put it, and the comments have just been so overwhelmingly supportive of people struggling with the same thing, saying, finally, there's something out there for this. The same things that I've been going through, someone's actually doing something about it.
Yeah, and we actually had an older woman write to us recently. And like I said, some of our designs are skewed younger right now, but we're just starting out. We've got so much room to grow. But she did write saying, I love this idea. I hope, one day I can purchase something from you. I thought I was the only one. And
Oh, wow.
oh my gosh, you are not. And like I said, millions of
Yeah.
people. I think it's something that we don't talk about, even though clothing is something we all wear every day on this. And I think everyone deserves to be comfortable in what they wear, and to be included in that design process.
Yeah, it's interesting how the fashion industry has taken so long to be inclusive in terms of designing for those who are slightly different. So, what challenges did you face as young female entrepreneurs entering both fashion and medical support industries?
Sorry, I think I skipped out. Would you be able to repeat that?
Yeah, what challenges did you face as young female entrepreneurs entering both the fashion and medical support industries?
Yeah, I think for example, it's just both things are very new to Natalie and I both. It's not like we had done this before, so there was a lot
Mhm.
to navigate. I
Yes.
just lean a lot on family support, on connections. Natalie and I are just always open to hearing any free advice that anyone has to offer. I'm not going to turn away from that. And
Yes.
really relied on connections. And it's been pleasantly surprising how ready and willing people are to advise us or to help us. And I think that's just because they also feel a strong connection to Natalie's and my story in terms of building this brand and what we're pushing towards. So I would say the whole process has been a struggle just because it's been so new to us. But I
Mhm.
told, everyone keeps their Rolodex really close in the fashion world, and you're not going to get help, and you really have to know people. And that has not necessarily been the case. And I think Natalie and I are just so grateful
Right.
because we are so open to the community, and I think we've just had great experiences so far with people, and they're wanting to help us.
That's really good to know. Now, the adaptive clothing market is expected to nearly double by 2031. Why do you think this shift is happening now?
Yes, I think a lot of young people our age are aware of a lot more disabilities. I think it's talked about a lot more. We're a part of the conversation more. I even saw on LinkedIn like a neurodivergent clothing brand, which basically had things for people who fidget. So I think people our
Oh,
age are just kind of saying, well, we don't have to suffer in silence. We can do something about it. And with social media, probably there's a lot more inspiration and seeing other people doing things. And like I said, I love going on LinkedIn and seeing other adaptive clothing brands for different things. And I
yeah.
feel like that social media might be propelling people to think like this is possible, or you see other people can do it, so you think I can do it. And I will say that's a little misleading because it's not like somebody's successful overnight. That's not true. But when you see other people doing things, you're like, maybe I could do this too. And I think it's just becoming more of a conversation, more accepting as well.
Yeah, it's seeing the possibility of what is out there. And unless you see it, you can't actually believe that you can do it as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
It just kind of cements your conviction and your belief. Now, how do you see your brand growing in the next 5 years? And will you expand to other chronic conditions or demographics?
Well, we're really excited about growing. We have a long way to go, but something we're excited about in the near future is a new product, which is a pair of shorts that could be worn under a dress. So if you own a dress already that doesn't have a place for your pump, you could wear kind of like a spandex shorts underneath that would have pump pockets. And that's something we're excited about because it would be more accessible to people. And I just think there's so many people that like that doesn't even exist. I mean, Naomi has she tried
Yes.
to buy something like that and had to alter it, and it still isn't a good product. So we're like, well, we can do it even better. So we would love to grow into that regard, and then also just like Naomi said, you have diabetes in all aspects of your life. It doesn't go away. So when you're working out, you need active wear that's accessible. When you're older, you need older styles. When you have kids, they. So we want to grow in all aspects of life and of wear, clothing that people have to wear.
We do get the question a lot about other chronic illnesses, which is something Natalie and I do discuss often. I think we have
Mm,
to work on with the type 1 diabetes, but it's something
yeah.
considered, and how can even just accommodating pockets be helpful to other chronic illnesses that we currently have. I think that's something we're not going to rule out right now, but we don't want to just
Mhm.
launch a few products for type 1 and then move on. We want to do
Yeah.
our the real work here, and put as much out there as we can, because again, I don't even have all the clothes I need, as a type 1 yet. So I want to make everything that I could be using every day. So
Yeah, I guess you focus on the one condition, perfect it, then you can move on to other things with time. That's a really good idea. So, what role do you think investors and mainstream fashion houses should play in supporting inclusive design?
Right. We are looking at investors right now, and I think, like we just talked about, with accommodating clothing being doubled by 2030. I think big companies do need to look at this as like a need, that people need these clothes, they want these clothes, and they should be considered in the design process. And so we would love to grow, and in order to do that, we need investors and we need capital.
Mm,
And in order to expand our products and reach more people, that's exactly what we're looking for. And I think it's just gotten to the point where you can't really ignore them anymore. You can't ignore people with disabilities when they make up like a huge part of the population. So I
mm,
think big companies can start, we could even maybe be sold in these big companies in the stores in person. I think they need to just consider partnering with these people because, again, it's hard to ignore when a big part of the population has a disability.
right.
yeah.
15 to 20% of the global population is considered to have some type of disability. So yeah, I don't think that can be ignored either. And if they're not ready to design their own stuff, then they should at least sell, clothing brands like us in stores.
And the reality is that people deserve to have these clothes available to them. It's not like they should have to search and try to find something that doesn't exist. They should be offered to them to begin with, and that's something we feel really strongly about. And just that people should have these options for them, not like be having to alter their own clothing to suit their disability.
Or start their
Exactly.
own brand.
Or have to start your own brand. Yeah. So, how do you both stay grounded while managing a mission driven startup, especially as sisters and co founders?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think having a partner is good, and having someone ground you for sure.
Yeah, we say that this definitely couldn't be, a single person operation. I think there's so much to be said for bouncing ideas off of someone else. And
Yes.
Natalie and I are equally passionate about the brand, so it's not like I have all these ideas, but she doesn't really care as much and is just going to kind of help me. We're both here to do the work and keep each other going. So I do
Mhm.
ability there. And when we did live together, I felt like I couldn't be slacking off if Natalie was in the room, because she's holding me accountable to what I need to be doing and vice versa. So,
Yes.
but we do a lot. I mean, we both often work multiple jobs to keep this business going. We believe in what we're doing, so we're working hard. Natalie does graphic design work, and I've even dog walk and babysit and waitress and all the things. And I'm also looking for other design roles. So there's a lot going on, but we're not
Yeah.
put this on the sidelines by any means.
You've certainly bootstrapped it and you're going to make it work no matter what it takes by the sound of it. I love it. So, what are some of the key features that you've built into your brand that customers might not notice at the first glance?
I feel like Natalie, you can talk a bit about your website design in terms of that.
Well, I think the main feature would be the insulin pump pockets. So when you're looking at it at first, you're not seeing the you're just seeing a beautiful dress, and then a diabetic would notice that when they're buying it, that it has the buttonhole feature in the pocket, and like we talked about, it has cutouts for injections. So when Naomi wears the clothes, she notices all the diabetic features for herself. When I wear the clothes, I'm like, this just looks really good on me, and I can fit my cell phone. So right away on the website, you just see beautiful clothing, and then as a diabetic, you can delve more into the designs and the descriptions. You can see how this actually is made to suit your lifestyle as a diabetic.
Yeah, and I would say I'm not sure if I, lost you guys on this when I was away, but when I lost, but something that I hope it comes across on the website is also our quality, and that's something that Natalie and I are really dedicated to in terms of knowing where our materials come from, who makes them. We are made in the USA. Stop me if she already said this, but um, it's about knowing where things come from, and I think we try to put that on our website and advertise that because I think so many brands that you see out there are not transparent in how they
Yes.
produce, in what materials they use, in terms of the effects on our earth. So Natalie and I are very dedicated, and we try to make that obvious on our website and social media about that kind of global impact that we are dedicated to.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
our manufacturers as well. Made in the USA is important to us because we know our manufacturers. We know that they're paid where we pay them fairly. They have
Yes.
working hours that abide by our standards, and we're just not we all we care about is how having good ethics for our brand and not sacrificing that just to have cheaper clothing and make more money. I mean, that's not what it's about. And it's really just about having these functional pockets for diabetic women so that they can carry it all. That's our hashtag, carry it all.
And it's a brand that everyone can feel good about buying. I feel like I try to do research into brands, and then things seem ambiguous and you're like, I don't know if they're good. We want people to know, feel good about shopping from us from all facets, whether it's quality, function, adaptive, and ethically made.
Yeah, the fashion industry unfortunately hasn't done a good job with ethical sourcing of materials, how the manufacturers are treated, the sweat factories. So the fact that you're taking all of that into account is absolutely fantastic. So I'm going to end our interview with two last questions, and they are a bit of a thought experiment. In the one, I am going to teleport you back to the beginning when you were a young woman observing what's going on with your sister's condition and your condition, Naomi, and trying to figure things out. If I could take you back to go and give yourselves three nuggets of wisdom based on what life has taught you up until this point, what would those three nuggets of wisdom be? And I'll do it one at a time. We will both disappear. We'll start with you, Naomi.
Okay, so back in time, I guess if I could tell my younger self three nuggets of wisdom, Um, one would be stay open to all possibilities. I never thought I'd be an entrepreneur. Even 3 years ago when I was in college, I didn't think I would be an entrepreneur until I really started working on this concept. Remain open. You never know where life is going to take you and what you're going to do. My second one, kind of along with this, is keep your ears open, stay connected to people. Like I said, will always take free advice. I think people are more willing to help than you think. And I think it's amazing how many connections we can make with others, and you never know where that's going to get you. For example, connections I've made have led me to this podcast. So be connected to people, talk to people. Always, when you sit down anywhere, start talking to people. You have no idea how they're going to benefit you or you will benefit them, and those kinds of lifelong connections you'll make. Um, Third nugget of information or inspiration, I guess. Um, I guess as a creative person, I would say don't neglect your creative or your creative passions, because it took me a while to realize that this was something, sewing and the artistry and fine arts that I've done for so many years as a hobby since I was a child, that could really be turned into a creative pursuit and career. So I feel like so much time is spent in school focusing on other things and other subjects, which is totally fine. But there's a lot to be said for the music and the arts, and there's so much that can be done with that. And that can be used to just make the world a better place. So I would say pursue those kinds of passions. Absolutely.
Did we say it's 3 nuggets of inspiration?
3 nuggets of wisdom.
Wisdom. Okay, that's right. Okay, let's see. Looking back, well, maybe I would start with when Naomi was first diagnosed with diabetes. It was a whirlwind for my whole family, and it was very overwhelming, obviously for her and for the rest of us. But I think if I could tell all of us back then, I would want to say that it's going to be okay. And since we're all such a supportive family of Naomi, and I know she was feeling very overwhelmed at times, but I wish we could tell her, don't worry, it'll be okay. And you're actually going to be inspired by this disability one day. It won't seem so horrible. It's still something she'll have to deal with forever, but maybe we could tell her one day there will be clothing for your type 1 diabetes. Let's see. Number 2, I guess probably pursue what you're passionate about. I think a lot of times, our family specifically taught us, don't just pursue something because it makes you a lot of money, because you might not be happy with it, and then where are you going to be? And a lot of people are not given that advice. They're given, do something that you will be successful at. And I think you should try something that you might not be successful at. I also didn't know I was going to be an entrepreneur, and we're so young, and who knows how successful we will be. But because I followed my passion of design, like Naomi, and the arts and the world of creativity, and I didn't shy away from that and choose something safe, I've ended up doing something that I actually love. So I think it's okay to chase your dreams, and if they don't work out, that's also okay. You can always have new dreams. And I guess number 3 is that it's okay if that you don't take the path that everyone else is taking. That was something I think we struggled with in college, and even after graduating. It's okay that you don't have the standard job that other people have, that your road isn't like a straight line towards your destination. Maybe you have some curves and some bumps along the way. And if I could tell my younger self, I would be like, that's okay. I thought I had to do everything the way everyone else was doing it. And looking at where I am now, I'm so happy that my road was not a straight line. It actually kind of wound around and went backwards sometimes and then forward, and here we are.
Absolutely beautiful. Last question is futuristic. I'm going to take you ladies into the future, and we are going to go and meet the 90-year-old yous. And by then, you are mothers, you are wives, you have fur babies, whoever's going to be with you at the end, right? If I could teleport you into the future to meet these wise women who have led you up until that point, what will you say to her when you finally meet her? Now, I'll tell you why I like to ask women this question. A lot of women don't realize that the wise woman is already in us, that she's that quiet voice that prompted you girls to create a new brand, to find a solution to a problem that other people weren't seeing. But we second guess ourselves. We look outside of ourselves for solutions, but the solutions are inside. So, what are you going to say to the future you when you finally meet her?
Natalie. Oh, sorry. Can Natalie go first? I have to charge my phone.
Let's see. If I meet my 90-year-old self, first of all, I'd say congrats on being 90. That's amazing. But I think I would just say I'd probably have a lot of questions to ask, and I'd probably want to say, like, I guess, do you have any regrets? I'd want to know about. Kind of like I said, following your heart. I don't think you'll have any regrets, so I don't think my 90-year-old self would. But is there anything that you would do differently? I would want to know. Maybe not something you regret, but are there different choices you would make? And obviously hindsight is 2020, but I think you don't know until you try something, but it'd be kind of nice to ask your future self if they would do things differently and have some advice for my younger self. But part of me kind of likes not knowing where we're going to be in a year or 2 years. We can hope and we can dream about it, but sometimes it would be nice to know that, oh, things will all work out in the end.
I absolutely love it. I think Naomi is ready to give us her answer. Here we go.
Sorry, I've changed location again.
That's okay.
Yeah, I think as a 9-year-old woman, I mean, so much of what Natalie and I have learned has come from the older women in our lives. Our mother, our aunts, and which all came from my grandmother, who I unfortunately never met. She didn't make it to 90, but that artistry and that creativity all came from that, the past generations. And as a 9-year-old woman, I hope I'm passing that wisdom on if I have, future generations, or if there's anyone else that I can share that with, because we really just were so encouraged and inspired by the older generations of women in our family, and that's someone that I want to be in the future.
Absolutely fantastic. Ladies, it has been such a pleasure connecting with you, welcoming you to our tribe, and sharing your story. I wish you luck with everything you're doing. This is a brand that really needs to get out there, not just in the United States, Australia, New Zealand. This part of the world needs it as well. So we would love to see how we can support you going forwards, and maybe do another interview in a few months' time, in a year's time. I really would like to keep in touch with you and track your progress and success as you roll out your brand throughout the world. Thank you so much. And thank you to everybody who tuned in today. The Her Story Circle is not just a podcast. We are a social impact movement that brings you the stories and voices of women from all over the world. We share our stories to uplift you, to inspire you, to energize you, but most importantly, to help take you from where you are now to where you're trying to go. So for those of you who know someone who needs this brand of clothing, type 1 diabetes is very common. Please share this podcast, share this website. Let's get this brand out in a big way. Any parting thoughts, ladies, before we end?
We were just so grateful you had us. So we're so happy that, this was first of hopefully many opportunities for us. And we're so happy that you invited us and gave us the chance to be here.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you, everybody. I'll be back again tomorrow with yet another amazing set of guests. In the meantime, have a fantastic day, morning, or evening, wherever you are in the world, and bye for now. Ladies, don't go away. Thank you for tuning into the Her Story Circle podcast. I hope today's story has inspired you to believe in the power of our stories and the difference you can make in the world when you use your voice. I'm Gertrude Mache, and it's been an honor to share this space with you, where voices from all walks of life come together to weave a rich tapestry of diverse perspectives. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review our podcast to help us share these stories with more listeners. Follow us on social media by looking for the Her Story Circle podcast for more updates. And join us tomorrow for another episode filled with courage, resilience, and empowerment. Remember, your story matters, and together we're building a stronger, more inclusive world. Until next time, keep making her story.